Okay, everybody, what is going on? Good late afternoon, stretching into the evening here, and the Seattle Seahawks have had another practice today. Now, there's not necessarily going to be a ton of like on-field play-by-play type information here because this one was closed off to the fans. So most people that would otherwise have been able to watch it were not watching it. We did get a little bit from the beat reporters, but again, like I've said before, this stuff is really starting to kind of become second verse, same as the first. And at this point, we're all ready for a preseason game. So I'm going to talk about what there is to talk about. And there was some interesting stuff today, don't get me wrong, but understand that things are getting more and more thin with every day in terms of like novel information. This video is sponsored by Prize Picks. So this was practice 14, and most of the stuff we got was injury related, and it was mostly good news. Jake Bobo had returned to the field earlier today. He had missed about 2 weeks. The hamstring was bugging him. It looks like he's good now, so he did not play in the mock game. He did not participate in Football Fest on the field, to my knowledge, but today he was good to go, so that's a good sign. Obviously, Jake Bobo's a veteran at this point, and he's mostly a special teamer, but nevertheless, you want him out there at some point in the offseason, so certainly good news there, certainly encouraged by that. So that's good, but the really good news, this was the most exciting thing that happened yesterday, or excuse me, today, Julian Neal back on the field. So Julian Neal, he needs this time. And today was actually, I think, the 2 week, it had been 2 weeks since the initial injury. So he missed most of training camp to this point. And with preseason just a few days away, you could, by some definition, say he missed most of training camp, period. And that was a big bummer because he needs this. Julian Neal is a player who only had 1 year at a significant college. He only had the 1 year at Arkansas. He's a raw player. 3 of his 5 years in college football were as a backup, and 2 of those years he basically did not play at all. So Julian Neal needed the offseason, and unfortunately, he is going to get only a partial one. He did not get to do the mock game. He did not get to participate in a lot of the training camp sessions, but at least now he's back. So that's definitely the best thing from today. Julian Neal is back on the field, back in uniform, and he can go again, and he needs it. And I don't think it's a coincidence that this team is so interested in a corner when Neal is missing so much practice time. So he needs to get back out there so somebody doesn't creep in there and take his opportunity to play as a rookie, because I think that Neal's ability to contribute as a rookie is kind of hanging by a little bit of a thread right now, and him missing all this time in camp was a big detriment to it. So good news here. So good to see him back. We do have all 3 preseason games left still, so there's still time for him to get ramped up, but he's now kind of behind the 8 ball here. And other injury notes, Jamie Sheriff was back and Mike Morris was back. They had both been missing time with injury. So overall, great day, great set of occurrences. Really happy that all of these players got back. This team is very healthy right now. As far as having the guys out on the field that we expected, it's about as good as you could have hoped for. All right, guys, let's take a quick break here to talk a little bit about Prize Picks, currently the #1 sports pick app in America. The app is very easy to use. Check it out to my left here. You can do player picks, where you just pick more or less on a few player stats and lock in your lineup. Or you can pick teams, where you pick winners, spread, or total on any game or fight. The app is available in most states, including California, Texas, and Florida. Right now, they have a great offer. You can play your first $5 lineup and get $150 in lineups if you win. All you have to do is use code HMA when you sign up. It's a brand new offer, best time possible to get on the app. So get on over there and get to winning that first lineup. So remember, Prize Picks, code HMA. Download the app today, and remember to always gamble responsibly. All right. So the only guys that are still, to my knowledge, injured, I guess you got Chris Paul, right? Because he got dinged up in the mock game and we didn't hear anything about him today. But Charbonnet, who we knew about, Eamon Worry, and Jadarian Price. And that was one thing of note today. Jadarian Price was not out there. Um, Still seems pretty minor, but for whatever it's worth, he was one of the guys that did not practice today. Mason Richmond and Logan Brown did, and remember, they got dinged up on Saturday, so that's really good news. Uh, Richmond, I think, will make the roster at least, so that is a benefit to the team on some level. Logan Brown might make the practice squad. So right now, the team is in a good spot. Health-wise, you look at these other teams out there that are going through it right now. Seattle is in a really good spot with these injuries. So happy about that. Looks like we are in a good spot. Right. So as for the Jadarian Price thing, Mike was vague in his press conference about it. They'll try to get him back as soon as possible. Again, he did say it was a matter of days, not weeks or months. So whatever it is, it does seem like we don't really have to sweat it out too much. But obviously, as a rookie, this time is really valuable to him. So it's frustrating that he can't be out there. I do wonder if maybe we were overworking him a little bit because the story was he was running with the ones and the twos and the threes, but I I'm not going to sweat anything right now. Seems like we're just being cautious. So that's really about it on the injury front. Oh, sorry, autoplay. But as for stuff that actually happened on the field today, there honestly wasn't a lot that was passed along. Greg Bell had a couple of notes here. Bud Clark was running with the ones again. He's been running with the ones a lot lately, and it sure seems like he's holding his own. So good stuff there. We had a pick six off Milrow by D'Anthony Bell. So he continues to show that he deserves that roster spot, and I imagine he's going to get it. And we had a Michael Dansby pass breakup in the end zone. So he's out there doing stuff. JSN had a 60-yard touchdown catch. And in terms of stuff that actually happened on the field, that was about all I really heard. I think that basically everything else was more of a injury update or a roster decision update, stuff like that. All right, so moving on from that, the hot topic right now for the Seahawks and their fans has been Terrion Arnold. I already made a video about him earlier today, but today was a good opportunity to hear what Mike had to say about it, talking about the interest in him, talking about the stuff that is going on with him outside of football. Basically, what Mike said was the team has heard from people they trust that are on Arnold's side. They had a good meeting with him. They had a productive meeting. They liked what came of it. And Mike did not dismiss any possibility. My understanding is that he's got a court date this week, or maybe it's next week. Maybe they're waiting to see what happens there before they do anything. But it does sound like there's at least some degree of interest there. I'm skeptical that anything happens because I know that there are other teams that are intrigued by him, and I believe that there are other teams like I think Baltimore was on that list, and Indianapolis might have been on the list as well. They will probably want him more than we will, but at the same time, we can see that the team seems to actually value him. This wasn't just a throwaway thing. They might actually want to bring him aboard, and it's a complicated issue. I think we all get that. But he was asked about the balance of having a guy like Terrion Arnold on your team and protecting culture. And Mike gave the answers that you would expect. He didn't say anything too radically out of character or anything suggesting that they were willing to sacrifice that for the sake of having Terrion Arnold. I kind of get the feeling that it had something to do with the Julian Neal thing because now Julian Neal is way behind where we wanted him to be because he missed 2 weeks of camp. Maybe this is just a thing where they don't trust the depth and they want to give themselves a chance with a talented young player like Arnold because they don't believe that Neal will be ready to even be a backup this year because he is relatively raw. Maybe. I don't know why else they would be so hot to trot on such a I'll be generous and call him mercurial mercurial. I think that's probably about the nicest way I can put it, because his play on the field has been pretty bad, and you've got this off-field stuff following him around as well. But one thing that Mike talked about was how there are people in this organization that were interested in him, guys like Carl Scott, who didn't coach Arnold at Alabama, but they did have some, there is some mutual understanding of each other. Jalen Milroe played with Terrion Arnold in college some, and even a guy like, Josh Jobe intersected with Terrion Arnold at Alabama. So there's a lot of guys in this building that'll kind of pound the table for him, and it sounds like they are, and it kind of sounds like that is influencing their interest. But if I had to guess, I'd say right now we don't get him, if for no other reason than I think another team is going to want him a little bit more. But we'll see. We'll see. He did say the meeting went well. He did say that everything's on the table and that they're satisfied with the fact that the meeting went well, and they'll leave it at that for now. Other than that, we also had a little bit from McDonald talking about Milroe. There's going to be more Jalen Milroe during the preseason than last year. And I think most of us can get behind that. Whatever you think of Milroe, we don't need to see Darnold very much in the preseason. And we know what Drew Lock is, and we don't need to see more of that. Milroe is the really interesting storyline right now, because realistically, once the season starts, that it might be at the end for him. He might not play in the regular season because it's hard to get a guy like that on the field, even if you have a plan for it. And if the offense is as good as I anticipate them to be, it's going to be a little bit harder to justify taking Darnold off the field. So it was good to hear this, and I think this is definitely the right idea. And if we don't like what we see from Milroe, then maybe we pivot and look for another developmental quarterback next season. So, lot riding on that, but we'll talk about that in the future. I'm going to see you guys later. Go Hawks. Everyone have a good rest of your day. That's really all I could get from camp.